Alright guys, this is a long play review for WEC Le Mans on the Amstrad CPC, and before we take a look at that, we'll have a quick look at the arcade original released by Konami in 1986, based on the famous Le Mans race, which goes over 24 hours. And check out the arcade advertising and flyer there. Good old 80s advertising. Anyway, yes, the game was famous for its cabinet. The deluxe one was a rotating 360 degrees cockpit type thing. Very impressive. They also released a sit down one as well, and also a stand up cabinet as well. And yes, perhaps overlooked in the arcades a tad by Outrun, this was still very popular. And here's the arcade original. We're on just the demo screen at the moment. This game is incredibly tough in the arcades. Oh, check out the flip there. Even in the demo mode, the computer struggles itself. And trust me, I struggled playing this as well. Very, very tough. And the road's only about 3 lanes wide. Actually quite a narrow width actually. The computer's out already, so we'll start this up after the high score table and have a quick play. The steering wheel in the arcade cabinet also featured like force feedback as well, and perhaps we need it to play this. Really, playing it on a keyboard via emulation isn't great. For some reason I just went straight off the track there, no idea why. And yes, after much practicing, I was able to actually get to the first checkpoint, because the first 10 tries I didn't. And it's like very, very minute touches going around bends. Just keep right, and then again steer right, very, very, very gently. But man, this skids around like it's on ice. Really, really tough. In fact, I didn't really enjoy it that much. I mean, it looks fantastic. And pay attention to like the detail as well when we can look at the Amstrad version. Just made it to the checkpoint with 5 seconds to spare. Yes. I don't know how realistic the physics are on this really, or whether it's just me struggling to play it on the keyboard. Obviously I'd like to slow down, turn it into the bend, hit the apex and steer and drive out of it, but the game moves so fast. And you have to keep the speed up because of the tight time limits. It's a really tough game. There we go, I'm out already. That's the end of my credit. Yeah, pay attention to this map as well, because this will feature the Amstrad version. So that's enough of the arcade original. On to the Amstrad one. It was actually advertised for the Amiga and Atari ST, as you can see there, but was never released, as far as I know. So we just got the Spectrum, Amstrad and Commodore 64 versions. Here's the full box for the Amstrad version. Quite a nice little box. And then was finally re-released on Ocean's budget label, the Hit Squad, for about $2.99. And you can see the glowing review there. It's got from Amstrad Action magazine on the back there. Most of the reviews of this game was in like either the high 80s or low 90s in terms of percentage. But let's start this off. Yeah, nice loading screen. I prefer the specky loading screen actually. Here's the title screen. I'm going to let the music play out. A bit repetitive, but it's a really, really good tune by the excellent Jonathan Dunn, as always. Okay, programmers there. Well, this, yes, well, we've got John O'Brien. We also did Chase HQ, the Untouchables, and Burnin Rubber on the GX4000. I'll remember that. And also Robert Hemphill, he was involved in Burnin Rubber as well as the Untouchables game. And of course the excellent Mike Lamb there doing a bit of programming. He was brilliant. Batman the Movie, Combat School, RoboCop, Target Renegade. So a real quality team from Ocean behind this game. Actually, it was released on the Imagine label, which Ocean of course owned. Released in 1988, a couple of years after the arcade original. And they've done a really excellent job here, which we'll see shortly. Some disappointments, but other than that, pretty good stuff. I'll let the music just play a little bit longer. It starts to vary a little bit here. Of course, Jonathan done the musician did RoboCop. I noticed a few instruments there, very similar to the RoboCop theme. Here we go. Nice zooming in intro there. That's not present on the Specky version. Let's get this started off. There we go. Right. I think the first thing to notice there is, of course, the lack of colours. And that's the big downer for me for this game. And a real shame. But obviously this was rectified in the Burnin Rubber, the packing carts for the GX4000 console. Same programs behind that, and that was really, really colourful. Now, actually in the arcade original, I should mention this now, because it's a 24-hour race, as you complete more laps, obviously the time of day changes, so does the skyline, so it gets darker, then gets lighter again. As if the sun's going down and coming up again. Doesn't happen in any of the conversions that I'm aware of on the 8-bit systems. But of course, if you remember Burnin Rubber, we had the day to night and night to day again. And you can tell actually they've pretty much reused the same code for Burnin Rubber. It plays very, very similar, but this is a lot faster and a lot smoother. And the sound effects are a bit better actually as well, especially the screeching noises on your tyres. But I have to say, this is actually probably the best racing game on the Amstrad. It does run very close to Continental Circus as a top racing game. It really does play so well. The collision detection's pixel perfect. Any mistakes you make feel like you've made mistakes rather than the computer being unfair to you. It's down to your good driving. I think the physics are pretty spot on here for an 8-bit game. And it's a heck of a lot more controllable than the arcade original, and in turn that makes it a lot more fun to play to me. Taking it easy around those long bends. Usually drop down to about 200, is it kilometers per hour or miles per hour? Doesn't tell me. I presume kilometers per hour. Got billboards there advertising Ocean. Oh, and there's my first crash. Oh dear. Spun out. I would probably advise maybe one crash per checkpoint. Otherwise there'll be no chance of you actually beating the game. One crash per lap, really. I think I have a few here, and I just scrape by. You can take things a little bit more cautiously, but whatever you do, don't crash or you'll run out of time. There we go. Look, about 7 seconds left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just scrape by. I think I'll run it even close later on. It's really hard to get a good run through this actually. I'm pretty good at the game, but it took me quite a few goes to actually complete this in a recording session. But tell you what, it wasn't frustrating. It's a heck of a lot of fun. There's 4 laps in the race, should have mentioned. Sorry. I think with about 2 or 3 checkpoints in each lap. Yes, sorry, I think there's 2 checkpoints and 3 sections per lap. Road signage there. Got advertising BP there. Don't know why. There's no. There didn't appear to be any official tie-in with BP. BP, if you don't know, was British Petroleum, famous petrol garage. Oh, flipped it. That was some really ace animation there in that flip. And looks a lot better than the Burnin Rubber one actually. There's more frames of animation in that, and yeah. But as you can see there, the cars are starting to run into each other and spin out a lot more. A lot more cars on the road on lap 2. And remember, we've got 4 laps to get through. There they go. Yes, on the specky version, I've not noticed the cars crashing into each other actually, or that much increase in the traffic. That's just going on about 3 or 4 YouTube videos I've seen, so I may be wrong, apologies if I am, but it looks a lot easier on the specky version than the Amstrad one. Certainly there's a nice increase in difficulty, the gradient of which is just right. And there's only 4 laps in the game, but boy does it get tough. And because it's that short, I mean obviously we can actually complete this game in wow, what are we on? In under 20 minutes, probably in about 10-15 minutes you could complete this game. So really it's actually quite short. But damn, it does pull you back again and again, because you know, you just get that little bit further every time. You get to like the 2nd lap, you get to the 3rd lap, sometimes you can eventually reach the 4th lap on like several attempts later, and you just want to come back and do better. And that shows great playability and lastability for the game itself. And it's a game that, wow, you know, 10, 20 years later, still makes me want to come back and play it. The reason I haven't done this long play for such a long time since I've been doing this channel is, well, Axelina had already done a long play of it, but that's a few years ago now, so I think enough time's passed for me to do my own and review it. Do you have to be honest though, I didn't like this initially. I think it was because it was put off by the drab colours on the game. I know that sounds really stupid, but sometimes a visual impact can really makes a difference of your first impressions. Oh, I'm just scraping through. Oh, luckily when you run out of time, the car starts decelerating, and you might be able to just creep over the line, just like in Continental Circus actually. But yeah, silly really. First impressions do really count, and well, I wasn't impressed initially by the the lack of colours. But gameplay is king. Gameplay is all important, and this is pretty much a perfect 8-bit racing game. I don't think you're going to get any better than this. So in terms of driving, it plays very similar to Chase HQ as well. Chase HQ was in like full colours and looked gorgeous. It had a lot more going on though, and plus of course the part where you have to ram the car off the road when you catch up to it, and also the turbo boost, and it did run a bit slower than this. So it's difficult to choose which is the better race between this and Chase HQ. And also Continental Circus, that's such a good game. Again, that was nice and colourful. So that's really the only downside for me with this version, is the lack of colours. The engine noise is just a really irritating drone. But the screechy noises are pretty good though, as is the jingles and music, and the main music as well on the title screen. Oh, and there's some music as well on at the game over or completed when you look at the course map, and it shows you how far you've got, and that's pretty good. But yeah, sound effects and graphics. Well, the car noise gets irritating. I think they did a better job with the car noise on Chase HQ. But really, that's really the only downside, downsides I can think of really. Wow, I've managed to get around that bend, that really harsh bend there at 220-ish miles an hour. I think I discovered a new technique there. I think I was probably doing, if you turn in at the right opportune moment and do accelerate, brake, rapidly cycling between accelerate and brake, just seems to hold it. So that's a technique you might want to investigate. Tell you what though, when you do finish this game, it's a real sense of accomplishment. It's a good feeling. So yeah, this game keeps me dragging me back to it years later, and for good reason. Just quickly again about the other versions of the game. It didn't appear on the Amiga and Atari ST, although some graphics have been found for the Amiga version. It's just the sprites, which they actually ripped from the arcade board. That was going to be done by Ocean France, but at the time they were. I think Gary Bracey, the head of Ocean, said in an interview not too long ago, they started a lot of games but never finished them. But yes, the main competitors to the Amstrad version, Spectrum and Commodore 64. The Commodore 64 version I haven't played. I've watched a few videos on YouTube and it looks pretty dreadful. It's probably got a higher frame rate, but it just doesn't look and feel right at all. It's got more colours actually, full enough, in the Amstrad version, but no, it just doesn't feel right at all. In fact, the Commodore 64 kind of struggled with driving games really. I mean, Chase HQ was awful in the Commodore 64, but it does have its exceptions. Turbo Outrun was really good, I believe, on the C64. WEC Le Mans, the C64. It's not the worst driving game in the world, but it's certainly not brilliant. Now, the Specky version is probably the closest to the Amstrad version, and that's a really impressive achievement as well on there. It actually has a lot more colours than the Amstrad version. But I think the graphics are better defined and detailed on the Amstrad one. It's a little bit easier, the Specky version. It doesn't seem to have the same gradient of difficulty as this does. It seems to be, obviously as we progress in the Amstrad version, there's more cars on the road, the cars crash into each other. That doesn't seem to happen in the Specky version, but do correct me if I'm wrong on that. Sound effects aren't as good. Oh, the music's identical. The Specky version has a slightly different ending. When you complete the Specky version, there's like a crowd of people that sort of rush out to your car. Doesn't look very good actually, but it does have a nice ending screen with lap times and score. But strangely, on the Amstrad version, we'll see the ending very, very soon. On the Amstrad version, you see we've got a score there, totaling up, and also a top score, high score there, and in the top right corner a lap time. Well, you don't get to see, when you complete it or get game over, you don't get to see your final lap times, and there's no high score table. I don't know how they forgot to put that in. Spectacular crash there. I mean, that's quite unbelievable, really. What's the point in having a score and lap times if you're not going to be able to see the fruits of your labour? I don't know if that's a bug or not. Or they just completely forgot and missed the towels. Or ran out of space, ran out of time. Who knows? So maybe a very, very minus marks for that. But overall, guys, this is a 9 out of 10 game from me. And I think we're not far off the end as well. So yeah, I've summed up everything really. 9 out of 10 from me. I think this just nudges past the Specky version, in my honest opinion. But the Specky version is nonetheless a really excellent achievement as well. Very hard to pull the two apart. But yeah, we should be getting very close to the end here. And we're going to run out of time as well, I think. Yeah, this is about the final bend. Oh man! Yeah, the finish line is just coming up. I got very angry there. Just slightly touched that car. Was going to get through. And there we go. That's the game completed. And a spectacular end to that there. Well done, driver. You have shown your courage, skill and endurance by winning the WEC Le Mans 24-hour race. There we go. So there you go, guys. 9 out of 10 from me. I'll let you watch the rest of it, the ending. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Cheers. Bye.